Back in 1957, Lego released this quaint church building comprising 150 pieces. The next year, they produced this one right here, coming in at 149 pieces. Now, yesterday, they announced to the whole world that they are coming out with this cathedral right here, the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, which comes in at 4,383 pieces for $230 US and 200 pounds. Now, obviously, the building techniques have changed quite a bit since the 1950s, and I think things look a lot better now than they did back then. So how did Lego achieve such a detailed depiction of an iconic structure? Well, we are here to break down how they did that, the interesting pieces, the clever building techniques, and determine if this is going to be a fun build worth your money. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So Lego has given us a pretty large building right here. I'm going to draw on this to kind of show you some of the things that I've observed in the set, but you can see we've got this really long sidewalk on the side with an olive green tile and jumper plate median. So this is coming in at 52 studs all the way across on that side, and it's coming in at 28 studs across the side right there. So pretty sizable build overall, and they even give us a chance to remove the roof. You can see that in this photo right here, as well as this one right here, which I think is a really great view of that. Now, they also give us some ways to see the building as it emerged over time from the 1100s to the 1200s, and then the pre-fire version that goes all the way back to 1786. Now, the one big takeaway I have of this set, and you can totally see it in the main picture right here, is do you like tan Lego pieces? Because if you don't, this is definitely not your set, but I'm guessing you're watching this because you at least envision this as possibly being something you could add to your collection. All right, so there is an asymmetry to the base of the set, which I think is interesting. Taking a look at this profile shot right here that we viewed earlier, you've got this median along the side of the building, but the median does not happen on the other side of the building. And again, you can see that looking at this overview right here. Now, you have these trees along this median that I think is really well done, and these trees are in the same scale as the Eiffel Tower. That's really kind of cool that they've been able to do that so that you can put these two Parisian landmarks right next to one another. Now, other things I noticed right off the bat is there is going to be quite a bit of repetition. You can totally see that here because we have the headlight bricks just lined up on the sides of the building. A little bit less stacked here on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side, but still a lot of headlight bricks, still a lot of these supports that come out of the building, and you're going to have to construct a lot of them. Looking at all the way around the building, there's just the same kind of pieces stacked on top of one another. So repetition is an issue, and that can be a problem when you think about the building experience. If you look at just even the front of the building right here, you'll notice that there's a lot of these wands. More on that later as they go across the front and they go also on the sides. And so one of the recent sets that they announced, the Artemis space launch, I criticize it for being repetitive. I think you run into some of the similar issues here. So I've pulled up this photo in markup so I can draw on some of it, so I can show you some of the stuff. But you have these archways that are these doorways right here that I think are really cool. You've got plenty of snot work that border these doors right here and these wedge plates that go on top to form the arch. Now, we also see quite a bit of these 1x2 with jumper plate arches all the way throughout. Now, you take a look at these pieces. They're all over the set. We'll talk more about the really cool pieces later on, but so many of these form the walls. So when I talk about the repetition, you're going to be putting a lot of these wall segments together. So how do they make them? Check it out on this backside over here. You've got a 1x2 brick with a 1x2 jumper plate in dark tan right here with a 1x1 trans clear brick. Then you've got a trans black brick with one of these 1x1 by 2/3 humped slope pieces, double slope pieces right here that fits under these arches. So you're going to be doing that a lot. In fact, you can kind of count right here just on this one segment of the building, we've got 6, and then we've got even more over here on this side of the building. So quite a bit of repetition on the builds when it comes to that. There's also quite a bit of snot work in this set. You can see along the corners. Now, we've removed a lot of pieces here, but you can see the 1 by 1 by 2/3 snot bricks that are lined up right here, which is going to allow us to put pieces like this right here, this 1 by 4 with the 2 studs, and then tiles on it right there. So a lot going on with this particular build that's going to be not only repetitive, but show a lot of the intricacies of the set and how you get up to 4,383 pieces. Now, another really cool element in terms of building techniques that I think is pretty fun are the use of these fencing foils right here. Now, we've got them on the tops of the building right here and on top of this pillar right here. Now, this pillar, I think, is also really interestingly built. So let's go ahead and zoom in on that. So this pillar is on top of the main roof of the building, which is constructed using a normal slope technique. We've got these telescope pieces with 2 by 2 round plates right here. And then working our way up, we have these Technic tooth pieces that are going to be connected probably via some sort of Technic axle into this cone that has a receptor for the axle, another telescope piece, and then finally at the top, we have another foil. So a really cool way of doing that. Now, there's some other really cool building techniques that I want to emphasize. We can see in this picture right here. One of them is this window printed dish piece right here above the doorway. Now, there's 3 of these pieces in the set, 1 on either side and then 1 in the front. So when we look at this right here, we've got this 1 by 2 by 6 arch right here that goes on top. Then we've got 2 of these inverted arches that form the similar, just the inverse of the 1 by 2 by 6 arch. And then we can place this dish inside of it there. And on top of that, we've got these 1 by 1 modified plates with clips. And all of that held in place, or at least the clips with the snot bricks right here. Now, what they do, you'll notice we've got snot running on this side of the wall as well as this side. So they're using corner snot bricks, I'm guessing right here at various points along the corner. So that way you can affix both of these types of details. Another interesting technique that we see is going to be over here with the supports. We've got headlight bricks right here faced backwards with these 2-length bars that have been used in a lot of sets. 1 by 1 clips attached to these bars right here that have the ability to connect to the clips. And then we've got 2 of these candle pieces in tan right there. Now, you'll note the candle piece used all over the place in this set. All right, so let's check out the roof. I think this is another interesting technique that we see over here. We've got this cross pattern on the roof, which is very typical of cathedrals in the Middle Ages. Now, we've got this roof at the corner that's going to be over the transept. Now, normally you might think Lego would use, we'll go ahead and zoom in right here. You would think normally Lego might use 2 by 2 convex slopes right here and right here, but they don't. They leave it blank because they end up using microfigs, kind of statues in sand green. Now, they also use, and I think this is a really cool technique over here. Check this out. They've got the headlight brick that they've placed upside down so that the stud goes into the back of the headlight, and then they place one of the triangle slopes on top of that. So really clever technique to get more detail there. Another interesting element to the roof, of course, is these 1 by 3 inverted tiles right here. So we've got the 1 by 1 with clip, a 1 by 2 modified plate that has the bar that attaches to the clip right there, and then you've got this 1 by 3 inverted tile, which gives you a nice smooth look, but allows you to get some additional detail that you might not get otherwise. And of course, lots of small pieces, especially these 1 by 1 with bars connected all throughout, and then these 2-length bars right here. So lots of use of some small pieces to help get that piece count up. But again, we'll talk about more about that when we get to the value of this particular set. Another interesting architectural detail is this. Check this out. We've got this wagon wheel or wheel cover right here. that's going to be in tan. Now, this is the first time we're getting this piece in tan in Lego, so really kind of cool how they're giving us that, and a really nice way to integrate this amidst some of these 1x3 inverted arches that we see right here and right here. I want to spend some time talking about the front of this set because I think it's really fascinating. We've got a lot that's going on here. Let's go ahead and zoom in because there's some really interesting details on the front of this set right here. So check it out. We've got a couple different entrances or door type areas to the set right here. You can kind of see those as I swipe across. Now, notice the arches heading into the entrance. Here we've got these, I think, 1x3x3 tan arches right here. Then the middle one uses some snot work and the 1x3 inverted arches right here. Check it out. You've got the 1x3 arch with a 1x1 tile right there. But the other one goes back to the 1x3x3 arches. Now, to add complexity to the build, check out what they do in the front as they layer these archways. So over here we have the 1x2 inverted arch right here with a 1x1 plate and then a 1x1 tile, which they repeat on the other side. So what they're doing is they're creating a unique archway for this right-hand side right here. The middle uses the 1x3x3 arch that's stacked on top of the inverted arch here. And then check out the left-hand side. We've got these triangle tiles right here, which I think are really interesting how they create that look. Now the front gets even more interesting because we've got this printed dish again, but it's connected differently than it is on the sides. Now, I don't know entirely how they do this. I haven't found a good image of that, but I do think it's interesting how they put that together there to create a little bit more symmetrical look on the second level. Then at the top, we've got these wands right here. Now, there are 3 sets of 4 across the front. We've got 1 on either side of the building and then 1 on the back of each of these columns right here. So we actually have 7 of these areas for these tan wands. Now, this is the first time we're seeing these tan wands, and we get at least 28 of them in the set. And they use these 1x1 plates with a circle to stick those into right there. And what I think is also really fascinating about the top of this building and the towers are this section right here. Now, it's kind of hard to see this section right here, but these are 1x1 cheese slopes. So a little bit of snot work going on right here, which is replicated on this side here, and then over in the other tower as well. And in the middle, they have a bunch of 1x1 triangle slopes right there going up the spine of that. Now, throughout this set, of course, they use quite a few of these tan ingots. In fact, you can go through and you can count a bunch of them. They're all over the set. In fact, this view right here of the entire set shows you more about all the details, but especially the use of ingots. You've got them all across the side over here, all around the back. And when you get to the back, you've got 2 on each of these wall segments right here. So a lot of tan ingots, which if you like, again, if you like tan, this is going to be your set for sure. Another note on the ingots, and this is really nerding out on them, but this set has more ingots in tan than any other set ever in Lego history. Did a little bit of research on this before doing the video. The most we ever had prior to this set was 34 tan ingots in the Colosseum, 32 in the Disney Castle. This one has at least 50 of them, so it kind of blows that out of the water. Now, I want to spend some time talking about the back of the building. It's harder to see what's going on here, but thanks to Jay's brick blog. So Jay was out at Billund earlier in the fall when they did a little bit of a reveal for this for some of the people in the Lego community, and he took some pictures of it. So I went to his website to pull some of these so I can show you how they're doing some of the stuff on the back end of the building. So note that they've got this curve that goes all the way around from one side to the other. This is pretty complex. Now, to do this, you need to have a couple of anchor points. So you're going to have an anchor point on the side somewhere over here where it's connected to the rest of the building, and it's going to be on firm studs. And then on the other side, you're going to do the same thing. But it needs to probably have a connection point somewhere in the back middle, and that's going to be, I'm guessing, this point right here. Because of the way that the curve is set in, there's not really going to be a whole lot of opportunities for you to connect these wings or this curvature to the plates underneath of them. So you're probably going to have one central pin location right here. Now you'll also notice, and it's a little bit grainy, but you can see we've got 3 layers of plates. We've got one right here, one right here, and then one right here. So this is going to be where they start connecting all of these curved segments with hinge plates, and then they'll have additional plates stacked on top. They also are going to be focusing on how do they get these pieces in to get the architectural detail on the exterior. So once you get this layer of 3 plates and then a jumper plate in dark tan, you've got a 1x2 by 2/3 snot brick. Then you have the 1x4 right here. This is a 1x4 plate with a stud on the edges, like one stud right here, one stud right here. And then we've got the tooth piece that comes out right there. So a couple of really interesting building techniques that they do with that. Of course, we're not done yet, right? So this is where the complexity really kicks in. You've got these 1x2 arches with the jumper plate right here that continue the motif that we've had earlier. And then another tan plate. This is going to be 1x2 plate with a hinge plate right here in tan. So this, you can see the hinge connection might be a little bit hard for you to see right there. I circled it, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in even a little bit more. You can see right here, that's where you've got the hinge plate, and then you've got the jumper plate with the additional architectural detailing right there. And of course, once you get on top of that, you've got a variety of different techniques that allow you to get some of these supports tied back into the main frame of the building. Now, the windows are going to be a little bit different here in the back than they are in the front. It's going to be a little tough to see, but what you have is you have a jumper plate here in dark tan, right? But then you've got a 1x2 clear plate, trans clear, right here. Actually, it's a little bit lower, right here. That's going to allow you to connect the 1x2 by 2/3 snot brick right here, plus 1x1 plates in trans clear, and then we get the black or trans black, and then the double curve slope right here. So you've got a lot going on when it comes to these building techniques. Very complex in the back of the set. Very, very impressive how they do that. And of course, we can zoom up a little bit more to see how they connect all of this up here. We got more hinge plates going right around this side right here. And then on top of that, you've got some 1x1 plates with 1x1 tiles so that you can lay the roof on top of that, but yet remove it at the same time. So this really kind of interesting build in the back of the building. We're going to take a look next at the interior details of this, and which is a really interesting part of this set. The architectural line is not known for its interior detailing, but we have a fully decked out interior. Well, maybe not fully decked out in terms of all the little aspects of Notre Dame, but we do have tiling, and we have columns, and we have some details here, like these windows carrying forward all the way up to the very top. So let's go ahead, we'll start zooming in and take a look at the inside. So we've got these triangle tiles in a kind of a checkerboard pattern that's angled because of the way that these are triangle tiles. I think it looks fantastic. We also have quite a bit of detailing with these columns. Now, we've got these 1x1 round pieces right here that have the little bar sticking up from it. And then on top of that, we put 2 candles. Now, check out just how many of these columns we have. So if we start over here on the left-hand side, we've got 5 of those columns, each one with 2 candle pieces. We've got another set of 5, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of 4 right here. So tons of candle pieces there. Then we've got more candles lined along the interior over here, which allow you to see kind of like a more balcony setting along the ambulatory of the building. I had to look up that word for everybody. And really does a nice job of showing some of the interior details. Now, another thing that we notice is the way that we offset the entrances up here. So check this out. We've got the 1x3 arch right here that covers that span. And then we've got tan jumper plates here, and then a 1x3 jumper plate right here, where we put the 1x2 slope right here. And so you're really getting quite a bit of detail for this part of the set, but that offset allows you to do a lot of different things with it. And you can kind of see a little bit of the gaps that present themselves by using these offsets right here on that side of the entrance. Another great view of the interior of the set comes when you look down the nave right here from the back all the way to the front. I think it looks really fascinating. I love the way they have these arches all the way up here. You can see how they just span the whole thing. Looks great. Love that architectural detail. Carries all the way to the front of the set. Kudos to the Lego set designer for doing that. But I also want to zoom in here at the front of the set. So check this out. We can see here are some of the inverted arches right here that allow us to get the basin for this dish. Here's the printed dish, and the natural light comes through. You've got the slits from these panels at the front right here. And then you've got the dish up here, which just opens the whole thing up. Now, I know that they've taken the roof off so you get even more natural light, but still, the way that looks, the checkerboard pattern all the way down the middle, it's fantastic. Really looks great. And you can see how they incorporated all of these candle pieces into it. By the way, the total number of candle pieces in this set crosses, I think, over 120. So again, great parts pack if you're interested in tan pieces. I think one of the big questions a lot of fans have when Lego announces a big set like this is whether or not the set is worth the money. And for someone like me that's on a budget, you might be wondering, how do I approach the month of June or the summer? Because there's so many pieces, so many sets, so many minifigs, all the stuff that's coming out in the June, July, August months, that you want to space out your purchases, you want to budget accordingly. So here are some of my thoughts when it comes to this. I think it looks really good overall. This is a fantastic looking set. No one, I think, is going to criticize the set for its inability to capture the details of the cathedral. I think if you have the Eiffel Tower, this makes a perfect combination with that. Obviously, the Eiffel Tower is massive, but I think it's nice to have some symmetry to your collection when it comes to Parisian iconic structures. However, repetition is a problem with this build. And if you don't like monotonous builds, if you don't want to stack a bunch of candles on top of one another, then this may not be a set for you, especially given that we've got a lot of other options that are really interesting and more original in terms of ideas coming out in June, July, August. Now, again, the pieces are fantastic. And you get 4,300 plus pieces for $230. That's a good value. One of the reasons they achieve this value, of course, is that they aren't giving you any sort of minifigs. So they're not having to worry about the details and the printing of the minifig torsos and any sorts of accessories. So that's going to be a component to affecting the value of the set for what you get for the $230. It is a really large build, and it's going to take up some space on a shelf. But the nice thing about it is you can see on the shelf right here, it's not all that tall. From low to high, it's nothing like the Artemis space launch. It's nothing like some of the taller sets. And I have a feeling, I know they haven't announced it yet, but the Bear Door set, when it comes out in June, obviously is going to dwarf something like this. So this will fit better on your shelf. They do have a nice display of the set on a coffee table. I think it looks really nice there as well. So that's obviously an option that Lego's trying to lead you to for this one. And I think the price per piece ratio, the substance of the build, yes, there are a lot of small pieces, but there are some pretty substantive ones as well. There are some new pieces like the dishes, like these wheel covers. There's just a lot of really fun elements, the tan ingots, the tan candles. You're getting a lot of really good value, I think, for this. So if you have the money, that's definitely going to be part of it. But again, it's going to be up to how you want to use your Lego money, your budget on Lego, and whether or not you're going to buy it. To me, it looks great. I'm on the fence when it comes to this. I want to see more of the summer sets. I want to go through them and maybe prioritize which ones we might want to get. And of course, the top of our list at this point, having not seen it, would be Barrador. So there you have our detailed breakdown of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, coming out June 1st. If you learned something about this set and if it was something that helped you decide whether or not you're going to buy it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel so that we don't miss any more detailed breakdowns of summer sets, of summer themes, or upcoming sets throughout the rest of 2024 and beyond. Before you head on out, why don't you check out one of our other videos, and always remember to keep building together.